Hello, everyone. Hi. Again, I'm Reverend Sandra Bargman, an ordained interfaith minister. Most of you I know what the word interfaith means, but as I like to note, different words mean different things to different people. Ask 10 different interfaith ministers to define interfaith, and you may get 10 different answers. I know there's a joke in there somewhere. So to avoid making assumptions, I offer to you my elevator definition. Interfaith is not a religion, but rather a philosophy that espouses that there are many paths to universal truth. So it's wonderful to be back here again. The last time I spoke here at Unity, I shared that I do a lot of work with senior citizens, of which I am now a card-carrying member, according to AARP. I work with the senior population in a variety of capacities, one of which is as a senior care companion. I work with a geriatric case manager who matches me with a senior with whom I can engage in a creative way. Sometimes this work means singing and reading with them, engaging in knowledgeable conversation, accompanying them to events or appointments, that sort of thing. When I was last here, I had just attended the funeral of one of my dear elders. Shortly thereafter, I was paired with a new elder, and the one that I work with right now is 87 years old and has been diagnosed with moderate Alzheimer's disease, meaning that he has serious memory problems, but he is also acutely aware of this fact. Hard. At the height of his career, my elder was a world-renowned scientist, inventor, and professor. He is as curious about life as he is extremely proud of his many accomplishments. He's traveled the world and loves to reminisce about the many places he has seen. In addition to talking about science, he loves talking theater, music, art, and ballet. He and I discovered that we both have lived and worked in Japan, and we share a love of all things Japanese. He loves good wine and good food. He's a consummate flirt. We have a lot in common. He does tell his stories over and over again, but he also surprises me with his insights into life and his summations of some of my pursuits that I've shared with him. He's used to having people listen to him. He is a relentless problem solver, and he likes to think out loud. Combine these three traits with a lack of memory. You can imagine the loop that we can get into. I spend 10 to 20 hours per week with him, depending on my schedule and depending on his needs at any particular time. So one day recently, I've been asked by his case manager to companion him to a general doctor appointment. The appointment is at 4 p.m. We spend a few hours on this day handling some paperwork, and as the time approaches, we gather our things and we leave the apartment at 10 of 3. We get on the elevator on the 21st floor, one floor below the penthouse. We are uncharacteristically alone on this particular ride, so we keep up our banter. I make mention of my husband, and my elder asks all about him. I tell my elder that my husband is off in Buffalo at the moment, and my elder has spent quite a bit of time in Buffalo, and this time provides him with good memories. So it's always a good thing for me to mention Buffalo. Both of us at the same time break into song, "Shuffle up to Buffalo." Because we are alone in the elevator, I poise myself for a mock version of the tap shuffle ball change just to make him smile. But before I start, we're jolted and I lose my balance. We've come to a halt. I look up. The floor light says that we're on floor 8. We wait for the door to open. We keep waiting. We both instinctively press the button to open the door. We press it again. We press the first floor button. The door doesn't open. And we don't move. This takes all of 15 seconds, through which time my elder is relentlessly asking questions. What's happening? What floor are we on? Is the door stuck? Did we press the first floor button? Or why aren't the doors opening? Finally, we press the emergency bell button. The bell rings. We press it again. Someone comes on over the intercom. They ask if we're okay. Yes, we are, but we seem to be stuck. The voice on the other end asks us to hold on. More questions from my elder. Where are we going? Are we going to get off? Are they aware that we're stuck? Is anyone helping us? Where are we? Mostly, I just keep saying, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Again, we press the emergency button. The voice on the intercom comes on again and lets us know that, yes, we are stuck. And that someone is on the way to open the door from the outside. About 2 minutes go by and we hear voices outside of the door again. Are you okay? It's the maintenance men. We can hear them talking and trying to open the doors from the outside. They aren't successful. And we are told that they can't open the door because we are now stuck between two floors. The 7th and the 8th, to be exact. My elder continues his relentless questioning and button pushing, and after about 30 more seconds of this, my I don't know grows into I don't know. I'm very glad that both of us have used the bathroom before we left the apartment. Has anyone here been stuck in an elevator before? Yes? Oh, well, it's my first time, and I'm stuck with an 87-year-old man with dementia. Our dilemma finally begins to really sink in, and my senses perk up as my mind begins to trip. I'm happy to note that my elder and I are remaining somewhat calm. I make the internal comment that it's probably a good thing to have dementia if one gets trapped in an elevator. On a good note, he may be talking incessantly, but it's clear that he, and I for that matter, is not claustrophobic. Another 5 minutes go by. Okay, it was probably about 1. And feeling forgotten, I aggressively ring the emergency bell again. The voice on the intercom comes back on. The maintenance men are going up to the top floor to reset the elevator. Okay, reset the elevator, what does that mean? Instantly, I have visions of the men pressing buttons, cables breaking, and this creaky old elevator plummeting and crashing to the bottom floor. My heart starts to pound. I text the geriatric case manager for whom I'm filling in for on this particular doctor appointment, and I let her know what's happening. I resist the urge to include in my text that it should be her and not me that is stuck here in this elevator. I let my elder know that although I can't talk on my cell phone in the elevator, I can get a text through, and that I've alerted everyone concerned about our predicament. I'm oddly comforted that I can reach outside from this tiny little box in which I'm trapped. Over the next 20 minutes, lights on the floor button panel go off and on as we talk. The overhead light occasionally flickers off and on. I notice that my elder talks about his deceased wife a lot during this strange event. He also lets me know in his very accomplished way that he has been trapped in many elevators around the world. Still, she remains a calming influence on him. We decide that if we are going to miss this doctor's appointment, that instead, when we get off downstairs, we're going to go have a sushi and sake dinner. So after a total of 25 minutes, the elevators lurch, and we move. We cheer. We start moving upward, and the doors open to the floor number 8. We scurry off, and I resist the urge to squeeze my elder. We catch an elevator, a different elevator, back up to the 21st floor and go into his apartment, sushi forgotten. So I can now cross off my bucket list, trapped in an elevator with an 87-year-old man with dementia between, ironically, floors 8 and 7. And I can really mine this event for its metaphors, providing me with new perspectives on my life and the choices that I am making. So let's start with the obvious metaphor, that life is a series of ups and downs. We can all agree on that. But inherent in this statement, life is a series of ups and downs. Inherent in this statement is the notion that the ups are good and the downs are bad. Up is heaven, it's heavenly, and down is hellish. Rather, let's think about it this way. The elevator doors open and then close behind me. Whether I go up or I go down, the doors will open again to a whole new place with a completely different view. Neither up nor down is inherently good or bad. They both deliver us to new places, to new insights, to new perspectives. And isn't it our most challenging times, our downs, that we gain the most perspective, that we become the most expanded? I love this quote by one of our very first ladies, Abigail Adams. These are the times in which a genius would wish to live. It is not in the still calm of life that great characters are formed. The habits of a vigorous mind are formed in contending with difficulties. Great necessities call out great virtues. When a mind is raised and animated by scenes that engage the heart, then those qualities which would otherwise lay dormant wake into life and form the character of the hero and the statesman. And speaking of ups and downs, when those doors open and I step off the elevator, I'm neither up nor down. I am just where I am. My feet don't know what floor I'm on. They just step forward. They just take the next right step. We humans have all sorts of opinions and judgments on the choices we make and the experiences we move through. Using the metaphor of the elevator is a great way to view these choices and experiences, even the ones that seem counterintuitive. So, as Teresa shared earlier, some of you know that I have a company called Sacred Stages, LLC, which is the umbrella over all of my work as a speaker, as a counselor, an elder companion, and over the theater pieces that I create with the intention of exploring our big questions about life. My most recent show is called The Edge of Every Day, and I've had the great pleasure of bringing in Sean as director and debuting it here on this very stage. Yeah. In this show, we explore our edges, our holy contradictions, the places between choice and choosing, where opposites or differences meet, where they create tension and chaos. We've been conditioned to see in these opposites that one side is light and therefore good, and the other side is dark and therefore bad. Instead, I would offer, as does the message of my show, that the dance of these polarities is the experience of wholeness that we seek. As Pema Chodron shared so lovingly in her work When Things Fall Apart, as human beings, not only do we seek resolution, but we also feel that we deserve resolution. However, not only do we not deserve resolution, we suffer from resolution. We don't deserve resolution. We deserve something better than that. We deserve our birthright, which is the middle way, an open state of mind that can relax with paradox and ambiguity, that can relax with paradox and ambiguity. In the elevator, when I realized that my elder and I were really stuck, I had an immediate sense of turning inward, of not allowing my mind to begin to focus only on disaster. And isn't that what we do when we feel trapped or stuck in life? In our relentlessly productive, decisive, soundbite-oriented culture, we focus on disaster, grasping for the quick fix. Our human egos don't seem to have any patience for turning inward to hear the still inner voice, allowing the chaos of being stuck to bring more options into view so that we can make deeper decisions and wiser choices. The moment we feel stuck, rather than feeling the heightened sense of excitement about the stirrings of a creative opportunity or birth, don't we tend to start beating ourselves up? Poor me. Look what happened to me. I must be such a loser. I'm being punished. In addition to beating ourselves up, we can quickly fall into the role of victim, blaming all of our troubles, our fear, and our sense of being trapped on our partners, our bosses, our children, our parents, even our God. In our lack of compassion toward ourselves, we miss the gifts of our sense of feeling trapped. Clarity, truth, trust, and vulnerability. We think that the point is to pass the test or to overcome the problem, but the truth is that things really don't get solved. They come together and they fall apart. Then they come together again and fall apart. It's just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, room for relief, room for misery, room for joy. Although I'm not a numerologist, I do have a bit of a fascination with numbers and their supposed meaning. In my daily life, it has become a habit for me to pay attention to iconography and symbols. Whether or not there is fate or self-determined isn't worth arguing about, but what is important is to pay attention to our life experiences and the choices we attract and ultimately make, and to be open to the lessons that are presented. Was it meant to be that I stopped between the 7th and the 8th floor? Who knows? But you can bet I paid attention. In numerology, 7 is the number of completeness. Perhaps it's because there are 7 days of the week, or 7 days of creation, 7 chakras. Even the musical scale is numbered at 7. And the number 8 signifies balance between the material and the immaterial worlds, and is thought to be the number of perfection, of infinity. The lotus is represented symbolically with 8 petals, and is one of the 8 auspicious signs of Buddhism and Hinduism, seen in Buddhist mandalas as cosmic harmony. However you may choose to interpret that information, remember, I was stuck between 7 and stepped out into 8. What is true is that if I had been claustrophobic, I certainly would have even noticed the numbers. I would have missed them. And this is an example of our fear blocking our opportunities to gain useful insights. Another good reminder. They're always there. And finally, we can focus on the vulnerability of being trapped with another person. In my elevator experience, I knew the person with whom I was trapped, and I basically knew what he would say. But then I started to imagine being trapped with someone else. My husband? Well, that certainly would have been much more comforting. Switching gears, if you could choose who you'd be stuck in the elevator with, who would it be? Somebody famous? And then again, what about someone that I am at odds with, or that I've had a heartbreaking falling out with? And in the strange moments of being trapped in that elevator together, frightened, would I find the vulnerability to share healing words? I started to wonder about being trapped with someone I didn't know, in complete darkness. What would I say to them? How vulnerable would we be to one another immediately? Feel the heightened sense of that connection. Imagine our world if only we could find that sense of openness and vulnerability in all of our relationships, regardless of finding ourselves in strange places, compelled by fraught conditions. Vulnerability is the birthplace of connection and the path to feelings of worthiness. Sometimes it seems like all we want from the world is a smooth and easy ride. But ease is precisely not the contract that humans have ever been promised. So we get hurt, then we get angry, and sometimes we feel trapped or stuck. And then we close down, protecting ourselves with cynicism, rage, indifference. Fear contains powerful messages. Fear is one of the many colors of our emotional palette, and it's often there for a reason. There's nothing weak or unevolved about feeling fear. And guess what? You're not alone. We're all scared. However, when we're courageous enough to truly be with what scares us, to sit in that shut down little box of an elevator, we can awaken our intuition and create a new path for healing. We can't control the events around us or predict the emotional tides within us, but we can choose to hold the hand of God, the hand of Source, of love, of trust. And we can choose to do that even when we can't see through those doors, the great elevator doors. Thank you.